Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Mic check 1, 2. I think we're through. Sending out a couple notifications, y'all, and we're going to get right to it. Ain't going to take up too much of your time this morning. All right, man. No further ado. I ain't gonna wait too much longer. I said I'm on a tight schedule myself. I know you guys are busy. It's a Tuesday. Let's go ahead and get into it. What's good, y'all? It's your man Sight, and it is a Tuesday. It's a little gloomy where I'm at. Very interesting times we're in. Once again, another exciting release from Akai. This one's a little different though, so I'm gonna give you guys a breakdown of why it's a little different for me and why it's different for y'all as people who might be interested in this unit. So if you're watching this live and you're not familiar with me and my channel and what I do, talk about that for just a second. And for those of you who are familiar with what I do, MPCs are kind of like a huge passion of mine. So let me make sure everything is looking good. Let me just go to the chat real quick and make sure y'all can hear me. All right. Let me see. About to send another stream. All of this. So let me know if y'all can hear me out here. It said vocals coming through in left ear only right now. Let me switch one thing up. I'm gonna just change one setting real quick on my mixer. Hold up. All right. I switched something on the Model 12. I turned it to just a stereo mix, so hopefully that works a little better. All right. So shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. I wish I could catch all y'all and shout out everybody, but I only got a few minutes really to kind of go through this. I got my kids today, but I thought it was important to kind of bring a different perspective to this MPC Studio. I'm seeing already a whole bunch of influencers, if you want to call them that, or MPC content creators just blasting this thing out, right? And honestly, I think that's good business on Akai's part to work with content creators. Clearly I'm one of them. They sent me this unit probably about 8 months ago. I can't talk about the stuff too much in detail because I did sign an NDA with them, which that's a whole nother topic. I might get into that later on a podcast or something, but I can't really talk about a whole bunch of details as far as what went into the background or how I participated in this whole bringing this thing into fruition. When I received it, obviously, this is the unit I received about 7-8 months ago, and it was already completed as far as like how it looks and everything. Nothing's been changed. It's the same unit they sent me months ago. And basically, okay, let's just get into what I do, right? If you don't know me, basically 90% of my channel is about MPCs, right? I love MPCs. They're a passion of mine. They practically saved my life when I was like 17. I'm 41 now. So I've been using these things for better part of like close to 25 years now, right? And I've used everything from legacy MPCs like the 2000, the 2000 XL, Messed around with the 3000 just a little bit, and then I kind of moved into. I used the Roland MV8000 for a little while, which was an MPC style device, but I thought it was better at the time in 2003 to like 2010. So I used that for about 7 years. And then when I took a break from making music for about 5 years, right? So from like 2013 and 2012 until about 2016, it was about 4.5 years. I didn't make any music at all. I sold all my equipment. And when I came back with the MPC Studio Silver, right? So the Silver Studio, the Mark One, I guess they're calling this the Studio 2, it was what brought me back, right? So I pretty much started getting back into making beats, and I took that passion that I had using that unit. All I had was a laptop, right? I throw it in in one of those little neoprene sleeves with my MacBook, and I could literally make beats anywhere with just a USB cable. The Mac, has decent core audio, so you don't really need an interface. And it was super portable. I can carry them both around literally in the same little sleeve. So as far as portability is concerned, the Studio Silver was phenomenal. It had the feel of the legacy MPC units, a smaller screen, which was, it was typical of the older MPCs. It's not what we're used to with the new ones where you've got, the huge color displays and all that stuff. So let's get into it, right? Like I've been using these things for a long time. Most of my channel is dedicated to showing people how to use them. So I'm clearly very passionate about MPCs and the community, as you guys know. I've got, a group that I put together, MPC Gang. Shout out to my MPC Gang members. We're about 11,000 deep in there, right? So I've grown a community, and I don't want to just say me. We have some great moderators and stuff like that, but I sparked off a community that now has 11,000 members in it. And my channel is about 13,000 subs, something around there. So I've showed a lot of people how to use these things. I think it gives me a little bit of credibility as far as my opinions on this, right? So going into this situation, why it's different for me, I've never received anything from Akai before. They've never sent me any equipment. They've never sent me $1. They've never sent me a contract, an agreement, none of that stuff. Everything I've done about, regarding Akai's products on my channel has been completely from stuff I bought out of my own pocket. This is the first thing they've ever sent me. And it might be the last thing they ever sent me, which is kind of disappointing. You know what I'm saying? Because I honestly love these devices so much, but this one, as far as for beginners, I cannot recommend it at all. And I'm going to tell you why. All right. First of all, as you know, one of the major alluring points of the modern MPCs is the big, beautiful screens that they use. I'm always going on and on about my Live 2 and how, the touch screen is such a, phenomenal tool, in making music, because you can turn it into faders, you can turn it into dials. You have all this on-screen capability and the ability to interact with your music while you're making it, right? Clearly the Studio didn't have that, right? Like the original Studio had the legacy MPC screen, which wasn't bad, for beginners. But this, I have really good vision, like more than 20/20. You know what I'm saying? Like they call me sight for a reason, right? I can see really well. I really can. This screen is actually challenging for me, even when I'm up on it, to make stuff out of it. I don't understand why you go from one of your hallmark devices, all the MPCs, the modern MPCs are known for this big, beautiful screen. This has a microscopic screen. It's even smaller than the Studio One. Now, okay, I understand there's going to be some compromises at this price point, right? I don't know the exact price. I was not told the exact price. It looks like it's going to be around 270 between 250 and 300, which puts it in competition with the Maschine Micro. All right. So, and at that price point, you can't really expect a big, beautiful screen. All right. I get that part. But this, as far as compromising, man, it's a super compromise. I'm not going to say it might as well not be there, because it does show a couple pieces of information. But when we're talking about why, I have a hard time calling this an MPC, because it really doesn't even show as much information as the old legacy screens. Like the old MPC legacy screens, you had your tempo, you had the track that you were on, you had the program that you were using. the quantize settings, usually like, or it would tell you like, if you're on 1/16 notes or whatever, there's a kind of like a minimum amount of information that an MPC is known for, even the old screens. This doesn't even have that. All right, so if we fire up the software real quick, I hope I don't mess anything up in the stream, but you probably can't even see it anyway, so it might be a waste of time. But the amount of information on this screen is super, super minimal. It doesn't even show you like the basic stuff you need to know. Now that's cool if you're going to be using your laptop and, or your computer, and you're just going to be looking at the screen, using MPC software. MPC software has improved quite a bit. MPC software is pretty good. I've got my current gripes about it. MPC 2.10 has been really buggy for me, so I kind of been riffing about that in the MPC gang group. But for the most part, it's very capable software. You can get a lot of stuff done just using it. But one of the reasons I really enjoyed, and a lot of people enjoyed, the MPCs that are hybrids or the old studios, is you really could just use this screen and get a whole lot done, right? Probably 90% of your beat done just on the screen. Not with this one. You're not going to get a whole lot done. You're going to be doing a whole lot of looking at the screen. That's fine. It's a controller. I get it. So the screen, major compromise. That's number one reason why I have a hard time recommending this unit, because like I said, it doesn't even have as much information on it as the legacy MPC Studio. All right. I just had some notes here. Let me just go back to my other reasons. All right. Number two. All right. I spent a lot of time over the past couple years, and a lot of guys in the MPC gang group, again, we're about 11,000 deep in there. That's not by accident. All right. We really go in there. We try to share information. We share knowledge. We share our user, kind of tips on how to use these things. The main reason I can't recommend this for people who are just starting is because this is nothing like any of the current MPCs as far as the button layout, even down to the pad shortcuts. Now, you guys probably know, who watch this channel know, I'm always talking about how the pad shortcuts are amazing. And the pad shortcuts basically allow you to hold menu, and you can tap the pads, and they're kind of like dedicated buttons that you get that allow you to navigate very quickly through the screens, right? So these pad shortcuts have been the same for about 6 to 7 years now, right? We're talking about the Studio One, the Ren, the One, the Live, the X, the Live 2, all have the same pad shortcuts. This does not have the same pad shortcuts. And this is when I brought this up to Akai. Everything I'm saying here today, I have expressed to them. I wrote a long, detailed email to them. I have expressed these things months ago. So I hope no one at Akai is surprised. I don't want to be rude. I'm not trying to be rude, but I have to be honest with this community. This has nothing, as far as workflow, similar to previous MPCs, even the Studio One. The pad shortcuts are completely different. So why is that a problem? Well, if you plan on buying this and you just want to keep this forever, that's fine. You just learn how to use the different shortcuts, the different buttons. All the buttons, they're not the same buttons as your typical MPC buttons. Maybe the transport is, the undo, tap tempo, stuff like that. But as far as all the, your A, B, C, D banks and stuff, all that's about the same. But as far as like navigation and what the buttons do, totally different workflow. And again, I've been using these things for about 25 years. Yo, I couldn't even figure out how to make a beat on this thing for like 2 days. Again, I could just use the software, like just using the mouse, but I was forcing myself to use this as a controller. So you're talking about a very experienced user, MPC user, trying to use an entry-level MPC, and I can't even use it. I can't even use it effectively. Now you can say that's probably user error. Oh, site, maybe you're not that smart. Could be. Not the sharpest pencil in the box all the time. But the fact is, I'm a very experienced MPC user, and my skills did not translate to this unit. And it works in the inverse. If you learn this unit and how to use it front and back, those skills will not translate to the MPC One, the MPC Live, the MPC X, the MPC Live 2. Because the buttons are all different, because the pad shortcuts are all different, this will be a completely new workflow. You'll learn this workflow, and if you want to upgrade to the One or upgrade to the Live or the X, you're going to have to learn how to use it all over again because these buttons are completely different. Let that soak in for a minute. It would be a wasted workflow. You would learn this thing and it wouldn't translate, most of it. Let's say 90% of it wouldn't translate to the new MPCs. And when I look at stuff like this, when I look at these pieces, I was excited because I was like, I was like, yo, my brother-in-law wants to make beats, right? And I was excited because I'm like, this is an entry-level thing. You know, basically, maybe when I'm done with it, you know, I'll buy one, or if they tell me I can keep it, whatever, I'll send it to him. And bang, you know, now he's got an entry-level device. He can start learning. I can't do it. I won't even recommend this to my own brother-in-law. I wouldn't even give it to him. And that's not trying to disrespect this unit. Again, I don't want to seem like I'm just being harsh to Akai, and I told them this in the email. I'm not trying to be harsh, but when people compared this to the Maschine Micro, and this was their response to me, we're going after the same type of marker as the Maschine Micro. Well, let me show you something about the Maschine Micro, and I'm gonna just pull it up on screen real quick. All right, give me 1 second. I'll share this window with you. All right. Yeah, it's not allowing me to show it. All right, I'm going to show my entire screen. All right, let's just do that. All right, here we go. Here's my entire screen. Now, this is what I really want to show you. This is a diagram. This is a graphic that I sent to Akai. And this is the Maschine Micro up here at the top. All right. And I highlighted all the buttons that are similar between the Maschine Micro and the Maschine Plus. As you can see, it's pretty much the same workflow. I mean, you've got a couple more, you know, dials and stuff on the Maschine Plus. You've got the screens, obviously. But I would say, you know, 60 to 70% of the buttons are exactly the same between the two units. And that's smart. That's a good way to do things because, let me take this off. That's a good way to do things because you're building familiarity and you're building muscle memory. So when somebody's ready to upgrade, it'll be easy. When you go to the Maschine Plus, you might have to learn a few new buttons, but for the most part, your workflow is going to be exactly the same. What you learned on the Micro, you're going to be able to apply to the Maschine Plus and vice versa, right? If you start with a Plus and then you want a Micro to just run around with, you're going to have practically the same workflow. And I've seen this. This is why I felt really compelled to make this video at the time that I did, because I see guys in MPC gang saying, yo, I can take my Live 2 on the road and just use this at home to control the software. Well, that's what I do with the MPC Touch. And I do recommend getting a Touch or, you know, an MPC that you can do that because it allows you to never have to hook up your portable MPC. So if you're looking for like a 2 MPC workflow, that's a great way to do it with the Touch, or, you know, you just basically get a cheaper one, right? And the Touch has a lot of screen issues, so it's hard for me to recommend that. But if you can get it working, it is great for that. That's how I use it. I use my Touch at home in controller mode, and I use my Live 2 in standalone, and I never plug it in other than the power just to charge it up. All right, so that enables me to just get up and go. I don't have to disconnect a whole bunch of wires from the back. It's a cool workflow. I definitely get it. This is not going to allow you to do that. Let's call it efficiently. You can do it, but you're going to have to spend some time learning this unit. And I'm going to be honest with you, I did not have the patience for it. I just didn't. I don't want to seem like I didn't give it a fair shot. I pulled this thing out of the box probably 6 to 7 times. I tried to help as much as I could with bug fixes and stuff like that. But the fact remains, this unit is so much different as far as button placement, as far as what the buttons do. Let's talk about Q links. There are no Q links. All right. So now when we're talking about the Studio One and calling this a Studio 2, this is technically a downgrade in 2 areas. All right. The screen is a downgrade as far as the amount of information, and the Q links being gone are a downgrade. All right. So even in the Studio Silver, which you can probably get for like $200 now, you have 4 Q links, which are great for, you know, navigating and using the MPC software, as you guys probably know. So this is not going to give you any Q links. All right. So I just want to make sure I'm covering all the bases here. All right. So going back to, I'm going to get to a couple positives because there are a couple positives about this thing. But finishing up why I can't recommend it, it's because, again, as I said, we're about 11,000 deep in MPC gang. There's other MPC groups with even more people than that, like 20,000, 30,000. Excuse me. It's a healthy community of people who are trying to help, right? Maybe not in every single group. Some of them have more trolls than others. But for the most part, there's a lot of us in the MPC community that are eager to help each other out. And we do in MPC gang. We help each other out a lot. If you come into MPC gang with this unit and you ask people questions, how do I do this? How do I chop a sample? We can't even give you instructions because the buttons are totally different. So I can't tell you, go to program edit screen and tap on this and tap. I can't even do that. I can't even give you step-by-step instructions. And that was my biggest gripe. When I sent my email to Akai telling them what my biggest issue was, it's that this unit technically splinters the MPC community. And one of the things that I feel like the MPC, that Akai has done the best over the past 6 or 7 years is keep the workflow consistent all the way from the studio, all the way to the X, from the bottom of the line to the top of the line. The workflow is consistent. So for the most part, it doesn't matter which MPC you had over the past 6 or 7 years, you're going to be able to communicate in the same language, in the same screens, things like that. This is not going to do that. This is completely. People in the group can't help them. So you're taking away from a huge knowledge base of people that can help you learn how to use these things and maybe cut down some of the frustration you might feel as a new user because there's people who can give you support. We can't. We just can't. It's just not possible. I mean, we can kind of give you some ideas, but we're not going to be able to give you step-by-step instructions because everything is so different. All right, so those are my major gripes. 1, the screen. 2, the controls are different. The Q links are missing. And 3, it's just not, it doesn't function like any MPC of the past 7 years. So that means all of that knowledge from the community is not going to be accessible to you when you're learning how to use this thing. That's major for me. And that's why I can't recommend it. Because again, if I gave it to my brother-in-law, I can't even show him how to use it. If he hits me like, yo, bro, how do I can't. So I hate to harp on that point too long, but it is a major, I'm passionate about it because I built my channel. I built my community by showing you guys how to use some of these things. And it means a lot to me that I can share information. And it really bothers me that I can't do that with this unit. And it's not just about my career. It's about supporting people who are new to this community. And this kind of leaves them on an island. And that's how I phrased it. And I believe that 100%. All right. So that's enough of me kind of, I guess, dogging this thing out. I'm not really trying to get on it like that. But I have to be honest about it. And like I said, it might be a problem. Like, it might damage my relationship with Akai. And that's unfortunate if that's the case. But I have to be honest with my community. You guys support me. Standalone Soul, you see it on the bottom of my screen. You guys have supported my channel. You've got me to the point where I'm at. It's all about y'all. It's all about my audience and the people who tune into my channel. And I've kind of come to a conclusion in the 7 months that I've had this, that I don't even want any relationships with companies anymore, because I really want to give y'all the 100% uncut my opinion about things. And my opinion might not always be right, but I don't ever want to be bound to speaking nice about something that doesn't deserve it. And I'm just not going to do that. That's just compromising who I am as a person. And that's not saying anything else about any other YouTubers or influencers. But just keep in mind, a lot of people are kind of jockeying for position, trying to have relationships with these companies. And I don't want to say I was in that boat. Like I always look forward to working with the, but this was very disappointing because I felt like for the first thing to send me, I didn't want to work on something that is this far from what I'm used to working on. Like, as far as I didn't want to have something bad to say about the stuff that the first time I've worked with them. And, it's very unfortunate. So I was disappointed on that aspect. So let's talk about the positives, right? Okay. It's not a whole lot, But I will say the build quality is fairly solid. It definitely, the pads feel about the same as the Touch when it was new, or the Live 2. It's pretty solid. It's not like rickety. You know, you're not going to hear any kind of like cracking or popping noises. It's pretty solid. It is made of just plastic. It's not that kind of rubbery plastic, the rubbery kind of coating that the Touch and the Live 2 have on it. It's just more of a matte black plastic. So it's not the lint magnet that those are. The buttons are kind of rubbery and clicky. And so I think the build quality is pretty decent. It does have this touch strip, which does add some functionality. So this is a plus. They added a new touch effects effect to the included plugins in the MPC software that allows you to use this touch strip. And on the Touch, I actually got a chance to mess around with it. It gives you similar to XY, except it's not horizontal. It's just up and down. And it's the effects are a little bit different. Some of the effects are different than the ones on XY. So the touch effects is really cool. I definitely think the touch effects is a good positive update, and I'll probably do some videos with some more of that stuff in the future. But yeah, the touch strip is good. I think that's added functionality. That's awesome. That's something that you like to see coming over from Maschine, like as far as having a touch strip. If you don't have a touch screen, having a touch strip is kind of the next best thing. But I just really don't think it was a good idea to sacrifice the Q-links, because you can put this in Q-link mode, right? So you can use this touch strip as a Q-link, but that's not the same as having 4 Q-links that you can at any time just manipulate, right? Or just bank over. You hit the bank and you bank over. So it's funny because there's this read write automation button, right? And when you use this touch effects, when you go over to touch effects on the screen and you start using this, you would think you would just be able to hit automation read write and start automating your effects. But what this does is it puts the touch effect plugin on your master channel. And as all you guys who are MPC like users know, who use the software, you can't automate the master channel. So you end up hitting this automation button and it doesn't work for touch effects. So I didn't get that part either. Again, I mean, a lot of frustration points with this thing, but I will say, as far as they're progressing the MPC line. I do like that, as far as like, I always thought that adding more units, like when the One came out, I think adding points is awesome, but this honestly could have been much better with a better screen, even if it costed a little more, and the Q links. This would be a lot more like an MPC Studio. So I would still recommend the MPC Studio 1 over this. The silver, the black, either one over this, for those very reasons. So yeah, that's pretty much what I had to say about this. There's a lot of promotion going on, and I'm sure, they're going to get a lot of sales on the price point and everything. And that's great. I feel bad, honestly, for the new MPC users who pick this up, just because they're going to have a tough time working their way into the community, because like I said, we just can't help them. So I'm going to try to answer a couple questions in the chat, and then I'll get out of here because I got to get back to my family. Let me see what some of the latest things you guys had to say is. Price point is aimed to kill Maschine and Novation Circuit. Yeah, probably. I think, but Novation Circuit, I believe, is standalone. And Maschine, maybe not kill Maschine, but it's priced to compete with Maschine Micro. But as you can see, it doesn't do what Maschine Micro does, which is train you to use the higher end machines. This doesn't train you to use the higher end MPCs. So major miss there. This is aimed towards MPC Beats users, I bet. I think it comes with MPC software too, I believe, Trips. I don't it comes with Beats. But I guess you're saying from users who are upgrading from Beats. So yeah, I mean, in that respect, as you see, I haven't done a lot of videos about MPC Beats. I did a 2-part series, but honestly, it was hard to get behind Beats fully, because working only in the software is way different than working with an MPC with the software. Charlie Smith, oh no, I'm going to say, I was 269. He said, can't see waveforms, biggest L. Yeah. Well, if you're using the screen, you know, it has like a sample select button here, and you kind of select it on the sample on your screen. And it has like a quick editing function, so you can kind of turn the knob, and it does it in like these preset intervals, and it seems to be pretty accurate. Excuse me. So you can sample, you can edit samples fairly quickly with it. I wasn't able to get that deep into it. I don't know. I mean, it's not as good as the touchscreen. Clearly, you know, it's not even close. But yeah, I think that is an L. Let's see, Dilio T2K. It would not be so bad if you could have it connected at the same time as other MPC hardware at the same time. Yeah, I think, and shout out to Dilio, man. He's another great MPC user with a great channel. So if you haven't had a chance, check him out. Yeah, Dilio, I think if you could use it in addition to something, you know, it might be like a second controller, a second set of pads. That would be kind of cool. I don't know that you can't do that. I don't think you can though, because it seems to kind of sink in just the way that the touch did. But yeah, I guess, I mean, but at that point you're talking, you know, MPD territory, right? So why not just get an MPD? And yeah, I don't know if it makes sense. Does this work in standalone? I'm gonna have to check on that. I don't think it's not standalone by itself. No, you need the software. So it's not like you can just use this and make music. It doesn't have any audio outs. All it has is MIDI in and MIDI out in the back. So if you have a PC, you're probably going to have to get ASIO, what's it called? ASIO for all, or some type of ASIO sound, what's the word? Driver, audio driver. You're going to have to get like a low latency audio driver and use it with it, or you're going to have to use a separate interface. Which, you know, it's the same as the Studio One. That's not a big deal. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't allow you to use it standalone. You're going to need a laptop at the very least. Let me see. Are the pads small like MPC One? No, these are full size pads. These are more like the Touch, the Live 2. They're definitely full size pads, and the pads do feel pretty good. You know, as far as the quality of the hardware, the actual quality is good. All right, Richard Dickey Discord. They shouldn't have branded it that way. Yeah, I hope they're not branding it as standalone. I'd be very disappointed if that's the case. I don't see them doing that. I think that might have been a music store that was putting it out there like that. But I don't think they're branding it like that. But I'll get back to you on that. I think it would have been a cool starter if the shortcuts and button layouts were the same. Yeah, bro. The ribbon was promising. You don't see many of those that let you play notes between the Hydra. And that's one cool thing, right? It did add the pitch bend capability. So you can mess with a note and pitch bend it. And that's something that I feel like all the current MPCs need. They need a pitch bend on the screen, and that's something kind of I've been like advocating for in the different MPC groups, is adding a pitch bend to the touch screens of the modern MPCs, because Beatmaker 3 and those type of softwares, you know, applications, they have that, you know, the ability to just pitch bend on the screen. So I agree. The ribbon is promising. It does add some functionality, so that is a plus, but what you lose for it, I feel like, really hurts. They're branding it as a controller, Andre Lee says. Yeah, so if that's the case, you know, that's cool. It is a controller. Let's see what else here. Try to get one or two of y'all, and then I'll get back to my day and let you guys get back to your day. Yeah, pads are regular size. Reminds me of Akai Fire. Confusing 2.10 was enough for 2021. Yeah, 2.10 was massive. And with this is going to be 2.10.1 that releases. So go and download that if you're using 2.10 already, because it's going to give you that touch effects capability and probably fix some bugs. I didn't get a whole lot of time on it, but I'm sure they fixed a couple bugs with it. It'd be cool if they made an MPC one with the touch strip. Yeah, and this is the thing. This is what I'm trying to explain to y'all with the touch screen. You don't need a touch strip with the touch screen. You can, when you see what they did with the touch effects as the new plugin, you're gonna realize you don't need a touch strip on the MPC because the screen is capable enough to do what this is doing. You just literally got to program it for the screen, right? So, you know, you use the touch effects. And I think if they add more parameters to the new touch effects plugin, it's going to make the current MPCs way more powerful, because you're going to be able to, you know, again, pitch bend and things like that directly from it. So from the touch screen. So you really don't need a touch strip when you have a touch screen that can, you know, kind of be changed the dimensions on the screen. If you look at the MPCs, if you double tap the touch screen on like a MIDI track, you can turn any MIDI parameter into a fader. So that allows you to, you know, it gives you that functionality that this would have. So everything that this does should be capable on the modern MPCs, you know, the big boy ones. They just have to program the screen to do it. All right. So yeah, man, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. I just had to give a contrasting opinion, not because I just want to be different, but because I don't want people to be misled. I want the information to get out from an experienced MPC user and who's not trying to sell you on anything. I really want you guys to make the best purchase for where you are in your, you know, production journey. If you're looking to get into MPCs, there's a ton of options. There's the One, there's the Live, there's the X, there's the Live 2. The Live is discontinued technically, but you can get it used. There's the Touch, which I use if you get one secondhand. I think is a phenomenal deal. I got mine for about $400, and that thing has made me a lot of money. It's made me a lot of content. If you can get the screen working properly, it's a great unit. And this just, it's not it. Sorry. So my apologies to anybody I offended with this video, anyone who, you know, feels like I was a little too harsh on it. But again, this is an area of expertise, I guess you can call it, that I'm very passionate about. This community means a lot to me, and the cohesiveness of the community means a lot to me. So us being able to help each other is huge. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this for me, is not being able to do that. So all right, man. I feel like I repeated myself mad times. I'll catch y'all later. Catch me in MPC Gang today. I'm going to be in there chopping it up about this and a bunch of other stuff I'm sure will pop up. So hit me up, comment down below if you're watching this later. Let me know what you think of it. I'm really interested. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Only about 20% of my viewers subscribe. So if you guys can hit that subscribe button, it'll mean a lot as far as getting notifications, you know, whenever I drop something new to show y'all. So thanks again, y'all. Catch you on the next one. Peace.